Welcome to the Focus on Why podcast. I'm Amy Rowlinson and I ask my guests one simple question. Why? Focusing on the importance of why, I share with you the relatable, uplifting and inspiring conversations I have with people from all walks of life. This podcast will encourage you to focus on your why to enable and empower you to achieve the success you desire. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we start, I would like to draw your attention to what I can offer you as a master coach. I can help you to focus on your why with clarity, uniting your passion with your purpose with a plan to create the life you truly desire. Book a free 20-minute coaching call right now via calendly.com/Amy Rowlinson/call, and we can take it from there. Hello and welcome to episode 399, the big one before 400. And this is my 64th Reflection with Actions episode. Before we get started, since my last roundup of episodes on the 25th of March 2024, I just wanted to briefly share with you what I've been up to. For the last 31 days, I have worked between 15 and 17 hours. Oh my goodness, I'm exhausted. It was to meet the publishing deadline for my book, and it'd been my mistake. I'd overwritten my first draft by a whopping 35,000 words. Don't quite know how I managed that, but I did. So I had to cut it back to around about 50. And that's been a pretty big undertaking, but I've done it. And I went into hibernation and sacrificed everything to just focus on completing this one task. And I've made the deadline, and the book's now been handed over. And it's getting ready to be copy set and proofread and all the other things that the publishers do to transform a Word document into the tangible book that you'll eventually be reading. I've got my meeting with the publishers this week. So I haven't finalised my cover design or even the title. I've had a working title all this time. That will come later and I'll find out more about it in my meeting. But I just wanted to share that I am done. The book is written. I'm very excited. I always knew I would complete it, but as I have a habit of making constant tweaks, it's a wonder that I finally pressed send, but I've been locked out of the document now, so I have no ability to make any changes. Quite scary. So next episode is my epic milestone of 400. Again, 4 years later, on the 30th of April, which was launch day in 2020, I am producing episode 400, and you'll hear all about the book in detail as my editor, Beverly Glick, is going to be interviewing me all about it. So let's dive in to the last 4 episodes this time and see what reflections with actions they've instigated. First up is episode 395, Build Better Relationships with Sarah Fox. Weaving in learnings from tandem cycling across Europe, Sarah drives home the importance of understanding the small print, both in contracts and in life's grand adventures. From deals to wheels, Sarah's focus is on how to build better relationships. Are contracts your nemesis? Is legalese leaving you lost? Well, with her holistic approach, recovering lawyer, Sarah is transforming the way people do business, advocating for simplicity and transparency in business agreements. After decades dealing with huge deals in the construction sector, Sarah realised that long, complex and bad contracts were costing people time, money, deals and relationships. And after all of that, they were usually just shoved in a drawer. There had to be a better way, and there was. So now Sarah advocates for short, simple contracts of less than 500 words and delivers keynotes that inspire people across industry how to streamline deals and enhance customer relations with contracts that represent their values, embed trust, and keep everyone protected. While Sarah highlighted that she is currently focusing on 2 things, contracts and cycling, she's literally just embarked on a 5-month sabbatical travelling around Europe on a tandem. Her planned European cycling tour this time illustrates teamwork and resilience on one another for a smooth journey. Drawing parallels to business relationships, she said that cycling with her husband requires a huge amount of trust, just as it forms the foundation of business relationships. So teamwork, trust and tandem. This episode touched on various themes, and there were some really clear parallels to be drawn between her personal and professional life, particularly how congruent she is with her values. I picked up on the values of balance, fairness, professionalism, excellence, positivity, clarity. But these are seen more as Sarah's approaches to her work, and it was trust that she really values and centres herself around. Couple that with simplicity, and it makes for a fairly straightforward way of life, enabling empowerment, autonomy, and responsibility, particularly around relationships, which she says cannot be delegated. So let's look at trust in more detail. Curiously, I looked up the etymology of the word trust, and it comes from Old Norse words trost, and from the verb trasta, meaning make strong and safe, firm or solid, rely on. It also means to have confidence in. And this makes sense to me, as to make something strong, safe and solid requires building it over time. It's not a one-hit wonder. The same can be said for purpose. This is also built over time and evolves. Both purpose and trust are built in a series of moments, sometimes seemingly insignificant ones, however they compound over time. Sarah mentioned Stephen Covey in this episode, referring to his book, The Speed of Trust. Actually, that's a book I have yet to read, but it sounds fab, so I'll take a look. But according to Stephen Covey, trust is the highest form of human motivation. It brings out the very best in people, but it takes time and patience. In his brilliant book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he speaks of the emotional bank account, which he uses as a powerful metaphor to describe the amount of trust built up in a relationship, describing it as the feeling of safeness you have with another human being. A word of warning, though, no matter how long trust has been held, trust can also be lost in an instant. Trust is what enables you to live a life of purpose. You need to trust yourself so that you can achieve what you desire. However, you also need to hold trust in others to help you make these things happen. How trusted are you by your friends, peers, family? What could you do today that will build more trust in yourself and others? Sarah's reflections were also of the parallels between contracts and her tandem cycling, highlighting the importance of trust, but she was also reminded of the need for clear communication, referring to how her husband has full sight of where they're cycling, but she does not. He can see the potholes coming when traffic's mucking about or where the hill climbs are starting. But Sarah can't see any of that. She has to trust that he will give her enough information to make her role easy, but also enough snippets to keep them pootling along happily. She says that she expects her 5 months to change her. She doesn't know how, but she knows it well, and as a result is aware not to make any big decisions when she returns. So from 7 core areas of discussion, including simplifying business contracts, trust in business relationships, preparing for the cycling sabbatical, overcoming potential language barriers across Europe, embracing play and adventure, responsibility in understanding contracts, and flexible travel planning, there's been some really key lessons from this episode. The importance of streamlining legal jargon by simplifying the language in contracts to make them accessible and transparent, which fosters trust from the outset. Reframing contract perceptions as contracts can be positive, she's addressing the common negative perceptions about contracts, and she's advocating for their potential to be fair, engaging, and emotionally intelligent. There's empowerment to be found through clarity and deciphering legalese to empower businesses and individuals by demystifying contract terms, promoting independent comprehension and adaptation for better business relationships. Sarah's making sure that people essentially read, understand, engage. There's an absolute necessity for people to take the time to read and truly understand contracts before committing to them, especially in the online world. Values inform your terms and your conditions, and your contracts reflect your ideals. Integrating your company's core values like commitment to fair wages into your contract terms can reinforce trust and align business practices with ethical standards. This is how you can operate a business with purpose, more than just the profit motive. And this is how Sarah's business strategy is grounded in choosing projects that resonate with her values, such as sustainability, and highlights for her the significance of her purpose-driven work. And there's also a don't forget to have fun and bring adventure into your life element to this episode. Sarah's adventurous flexibility and approach to planning her lengthy cycling trip really reflects the need for this flexibility and contingency, and she has really prepared for it. An update so far on her first 8 days. Her biggest learning that people are everything. She's battled a frame breaks and she's had brutal headwinds, a series of punctures in the middle of nowhere, all been a steep learning curve on hard days in the saddle and storms in the channel. However, from all the help of an army of friends and contacts, she's ensured that they're back on track. So prepare, adapt, and overcome seems to be the order of the day, but obviously making sure she has a huge amount of fun on this journey. So next up is episode 396, Threads of Alignment with Lis Cashin. Are you in a prison of your own making? Are you caught in the pursuit of perfection? From battling undiagnosed PTSD to her transformative path through trauma and the awakening of leadership potential, Lis Cashin navigated life's complexities with resilience and grace. Embracing her role as a catalyst for women's empowerment in leadership, Lis's journey epitomises the quest for the deeper understanding of purpose. Lis embodies hope, resilience, proving that overcoming adversity can lead to profound self-discovery and the realisation of leadership potential. Using mindfulness to shift from a self-imposed prison to a nurturing state of expansion and exploration, she identified her purposeful threads of alignment. Lis is a multi-award-winning keynote speaker, best-selling author, and personal transformation specialist on a mission to empower women to elevate their self-worth and unlock leadership potential. Inspiring audiences with her incredible personal story of overcoming trauma, as well as educating and empowering with her practical strategies for growth. The events in her past don't define her, but instead have become the catalyst for her self-worth transformation, enabling her to become the successful woman she is today. Now, Lis clearly had made a conscious decision not to share the specific details on this particular trauma that she'd experienced within this episode. And the position that I always take when interviewing is not to bring up anything I know about my guests outside of the conversation. It's for them to bring it and then I will explore more. But it's not a secret, and if you can find out what happened on her website if you're interested. The conversation touched on many topics such as finding meaning in adversity, personal transformation through seeking life's meaning, post-traumatic growth, self-improvement, mindfulness, authentic living, and purpose. And Lis's focus now is on empowering women's leadership potential. She's helping women to cultivate leadership qualities, to challenge imposter syndrome, and strive for equality and authenticity in professional environments, saying, I think we've all got this leadership potential. Some of us are more along that journey than others, but I think so many women are holding themselves back from that, and a huge part of that is because of our self-worth, and that's driven by a number of factors. So let's pick up on that self-worth. From a coaching perspective, often at the root of many challenges is low self-worth, and it can manifest in negative self-talk, leading to a lack of self-value or a belief of inadequacy, believing you're not good enough, preventing you from pursuing your dreams and creating the life you desire. By bringing awareness to your negative thoughts and choosing not to internalize them, you can overcome their influence. Thoughts are just thoughts. They're not reflective of reality. Valuing yourself and others, doing what brings you joy, and remaining aligned to your values will guide you forward. Remember, how you feel is ultimately your choice. Be mindful of using phrases such as I should, I need to, or I really must. And these might signify that you're adhering to others' values or priorities rather than your own. Instead, shift your language to I desire to, I choose to, or I love to, as these align more closely with your core values. Living and expressing your truth while showing self-compassion really makes a difference. Positive self-talk serves as a powerful tool to becoming more confident, driven, focused, productive, motivated, and ultimately more purposeful in your actions. When you learn to be kind and love yourself, you cut through the noise to master the true power of your thinking. For decades, I'd attached my self-worth to meeting unrealistic standards I'd set myself to attain. It took me years to realise that my pursuit of perfection, fueled by a mindset rooted in comparison and fearing shame and vulnerability, was ultimately an illusion, unattainable and devoid of value. Recognising its futility, I embraced my uniqueness and imperfections, prioritising self-improvement and growth, which proved to be far more sustainable, meaningful and fulfilling. It's important to recognise that making mistakes and experiencing failure is a natural part of being human. The issue doesn't lie in striving for perfection, but rather in undervaluing your imperfections and the valuable lessons they offer. Sharing these imperfections can open you up to support and connection with others. Taking responsibility for and embracing your imperfections is a profound act of self-worth and self-acceptance. It reminds me of something Kim Adele Platts, now Randall, said in Focus on Why episode 122, Be Kind to Yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup unless you learn to be kind to yourself. At some point, you'll run out of steam. If you don't learn the lesson, life will repeat itself until you do. So, learn to love and empower yourself to become everything you've ever aspired to be. Pay close attention to the lessons life offers. And remember, you get to choose and assign the meaning of each moment. What profound act of self-worth will you demonstrate today? And back to Lis, the key takeaways I took from her episode were how travelling helps to broaden perspectives, foster adaptability, and appreciate global diversity, contributing to personal expansion and acceptance. To embrace your individuality, practice mindfulness and replace those negative beliefs with self-kind setups for personal growth. To find your voice and audience, not everyone will resonate, but your message will profoundly impact with those who do. To reflect on your self-imposed limitations and to embrace mental liberation for a full, rich life through mindfulness and reframing techniques. And finally, a lesson in trusting the heart. For those questioning their why, learn to relax and trust your heart's guidance to uncover your life's purpose. Next up is episode 397, Craft Connection Through Comedy with Beth Sherman. Beth Sherman is a speaker, comedian, and 7-time Emmy Award-winning Hollywood comedy writer who's written for the biggest shows in American television, including Late Show with David Letterman, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Ellen, and the Academy Awards. As a speaker, she helps companies achieve healthier workplaces and more profitable business relationships by showing employees how to harness the power of humour to create quick connection and genuine engagement with clients and colleagues. Whether personally or professionally, you want to break down barriers, build trust, lead with vulnerability and inclusivity to drive engagement, Beth advocates for tapping into your authentic self to craft connection through comedy. Beth brought several areas to the conversation, and from what she shared, for me, it's clear that while both her parents had great senses of humour and she's had a lifetime of being exposed to people who notice comedic opportunities, humour is a skill that can be learned. When used well, it can be really powerful in communication, particularly when acknowledging and articulating emotions. Beth highlighted emotional intelligence is needed for using humour well to ensure its inclusivity and kindness in interactions. Bridging gaps between individuals in personal and professional environments, Beth emphasised how appropriate use of humour can demonstrate vulnerability in leadership roles, enhancing credibility and establishing deeper connections with their team. And the power of connection through laughter? Well, that reminds me of Danish comedians Victor Borge, who said that laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Well, Beth believes that humour is the universal love language of connection, saying that you can use humour to say things that you couldn't or wouldn't say directly, and that's incredibly powerful. Do you agree? As defined by Gary Chapman, the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, physical touch, and receiving gifts. Now, humour actually covers all of those. Curiously, even physical touch. I was reflecting on this earlier, and I realised that when someone makes me laugh, I immediately reach out towards them to touch them, just because you're sharing that moment. And I don't know how or why it happens, but it does. So humour acts as a universal language that encompasses love and connection. It resonates with people across different cultures, and likened to food, which is another universal love language that people speak fluently, it makes perfect sense. So sharing personal stories with humour makes speakers relatable and creating connections with the audience in a profound way. Beth explained about how to clear the path to the laugh, meaning it just makes it easier, literally and figuratively, for people to hear the joke or the content. And there's one more element that I want to bring in. Beth said that humour creates laughter. Laughter is emotion, and emotion is what you need to build trust, and you need trust if people are going to take action. And when she works with people, she has to understand and mirror someone's speech rhythm and perspective to draw out their authentic self, especially in humour. Now, I want to talk about authenticity. In its simplest form, it means original, real, or genuine. In its more complex existential form, it means being true to yourself with your actions being in complete alignment with your beliefs, needs, wants, and values, irrespective of external pressures or societal conformity. Being authentic means being able to be flexible and adaptable in different situations. Behaving differently in different scenarios is not the same as being inconsistent. Tact and social acceptance may often require you to hold back truths and honest reflections. And this is where humour comes in. Sharing personal stories with humour makes speakers relatable, creating connections with audience in a profound way. Your personal anecdotes, authentically spoken, create that connection. A focus on building trust through humour. Laughter triggers emotional responses that are pivotal for building trust, crucial for meaningful action and engagement. Again, connection, communication, and trust right at the core of this conversation. And my final reflection with action today is from episode 398, Running into Life with Marc Convey. After a life-altering accident, burn survivor Marc Convey defied odds, choosing post-traumatic growth over limitation. Through resilience and healing, Marc discovered the pivotal role self-awareness plays in shaping destinations. Finding contentment and authenticity from his inner freedom with positive momentum, Marc's no longer running away from trauma. Instead, he's running into life. Adding that it's about the way you run as well, holding yourself in the right way, being very self-aware and keeping your head up for opportunities. Now, as a speaker, writer and advocate, Marc shares his transformative narrative, emphasizing resilience, self-discovery and the profound impact of travel. Beyond personal triumphs, his mission includes raising awareness from growth from trauma and inspiring others to create a life they love. His story is testament to the human spirit, strong, funny, warm, and truly inspirational. He posted on LinkedIn his reflections on recording the episode with me through a series of questions. And the first question was, how often do you focus on why? Well, I would hazard a guess, probably not as much as you might think. Most people start with why, but they don't continue to focus on it and they often drift away from the original emotional significance that they've attached to their purpose. So don't underestimate where you apply your focus within your daily routine. How you spend your time reflects what you prioritise and demonstrates your commitment in your life. If your life lacks fulfilment, examine how you spend your time and make necessary adjustments. To truly make a difference in the world, commitment is key. The meaningful emotional significance you attach to your purpose serves as a powerful motivator to sustain your commitment and dedication. It's your focus on why. And this is not a dress rehearsal. This is your one and only life. And this moment right now will never happen again. Where you apply your focus is what you choose to prioritise. So are you focused on the right things? The other questions that Marc raised were, why did this happen to me? Why should I care what you think? Why am I not living more authentically? Why am I not leading as effectively as I'd like? And why can't I still do it all? All reasonable questions to be reflecting on. Do you have answers for these questions? If you don't, I recommend spending some time reflecting and journaling on each of them. Marc spoke about how applying an inside-out way of thinking rather than outside-in way of thinking, he prioritises his introspection. So prioritising evolution as well. Marc understands the importance of personal growth and self-awareness as being a continuous journey and comparison with others unnecessary and unproductive. Sharing his reflections on personal growth and societal changes, he said he just felt like that he'd got to a point where he was ready to turn around, look back and reflect on his life. With 25 years of life experience and wisdom built up, having reached midlife and seeing that there is a need for people like him to speak up, now, with his two core values of freedom and connectivity, he's practicing what is most important to him, serving others in living his purpose. Do you understand the importance of this introspection? Do you practice reflection with action? For me, it's the key to purposeful living. How? Because I view purpose to be the overarching intention that guides your direction in life, and your why is the emotional significance that you assign to your purpose. It serves as your biggest intrinsic motivator. Your why provides you with the commitment and focus needed to achieve all your goals aligned to your purpose. The why emerges from reflection, while purpose is created through subsequent action. Through the process of reflection, you gain clarity and valuable insights into your inner world, interpreting and uncovering the meaning of your experiences and understanding your next steps. Reflection helps you to identify patterns, overcoming limiting beliefs or behaviours, and explore biases, strengths, and areas for growth, all while helping align your actions with your values and aspirations. Continuously reflect on your actions and adjust your course as needed to develop resilience and adaptability in the face of challenges. Intentional action is vital for achieving goals and living a fulfilling life. Your future success is therefore dependent on the actions you take after reflecting, as without action, dreams remain dreams. Without a defined understanding of meaning and purpose, you might find yourself merely reacting to events rather than recognizing how they each hold a meaningful significance that contributes to guiding your intentional actions and achieving fulfillment. When you couple reflection with action, that's when true growth occurs. This incredible transformation is achieved through the exploratory method I call reflection with action. And this is why I use these solo episodes to not only practice reflection with action for myself, but to demonstrate it to you, to take on board the premise of how applied learnings into life help you to grow and evolve. Fulfillment and achievement ensues as a result. My final reflection from Marc's episode and from Sarah, Lis and Beth is to embrace self-healing. Understand that healing is personal. Focus on self-care before attempting to help and improve others' lives. Set life goals, clarify personal objectives, set achievable targets to provide direction and motivation in both personal and professional areas. Develop resilience, as overcoming adversity builds strength. Marc's experience of returning to school with a mask exemplifies the power of resilience. Demonstrate authentic self-discovery to live truly. Understanding and accepting your core values and identity leads to genuine interactions and self-contentment. Reject external validation and instead seek inner satisfaction. Depending less on others' approval leads to self-reliance and emotional stability and enhances well-being. Through your reflective practice, acknowledge all your achievements and any lessons learned, as this self-assessment promotes self-approval and self-appraisal. Above all, bring more humour, fun, laughter, joy, adventure and travel into your life. You only have one life. Be sure to live it. How has this conversation had an impact on you? What value have you received from tuning in? What are your reflections with actions? Please take a moment to leave me an Apple Podcast or Spotify review sharing how Focus on Why has made a difference to you today. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. To keep it going, simply connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook or Twitter, or join the Focus on Why Facebook group. All the links are in the show notes. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.